This is the story I want to tell is something that guided me towards helping people. In the long run, you're going to hear that it turned me into a trauma surgeon, but I didn't know that back then. Having grown up in this cute little bucolic New England town that was very New England, with a big wide avenue of Main Street. 6 lanes, well, 4 lanes across, plenty of parking and lots of space. And my family had a department store in town. And while that department store closed in the mid to late '80s, because department stores closed back then, um, I was working for a restaurant. And it's one of those things that when you're young and you want to do something in medicine and you look for a job, you find what's there. I was a busboy at a restaurant. I was a bar back and I was helping out. And I was walking on Main Street. One of the first years we didn't have to work at the family store because it was closed. And I was going to my job later, so I had my crappy old car that had parked around the corner and was just walking around the street because it was a beautiful summer day and it was ready for it. And I um I was walking in front of what was then a Woolworths, and I remember distinctly, like I can still hear this happening in my brain. Um, a scuffle, kind of an interaction, a gasp from a woman, um, a what the heck from somebody else, and about 10 feet away, maybe 8 feet away from me, a man was on the ground doing this with a knife, and he was stabbing someone, and
Oh my
people were
gosh.
starting to run away from this, and I was in a variety.
This is in the middle of the day, like in
There
the
were
middle of
hundreds of people around, outside on the street, so there was a
outside
few
on the
people around.
street, but in the middle
Outside,
of
middle of
whatever's
all
going on.
imagine a big fair with sales all around you, and everyone just having a wonderful time eating and drinking and doing all the things. And this was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he jumped on someone and started stabbing them. And he had it later learned few moments later, it learned it was a little girl, and her mother was just standing in horror, and everyone around was scattering. There was a local off-duty police officer who basically tackled the guy, and a local nurse who was just a bystander. And I was there because I was a kid just wondering what was going on. And I'd also been, interestingly, I was also a police explorer, and I had noticed something and I ran towards it because that's what I was trained to do. And I went in and saw this girl was bleeding very heavily. And so I happened to
Where
have
was she? Where was she bleeding from?
everywhere. She had 70 something stab wounds on her body.
My gosh. Oh my God.
And I hope that I'm not violating someone's privacy in this because I won't say any names, but it's a very it's a very known story. And she was dying in front of us and bleeding to death.